Hi, and welcome to the NBA Economy Show. Today, we're going to have a different subject. Usually, we have a lot of Knicks topics, but this is an all NBA show, so we don't just cover the Knicks. Today, we're going to be covering the Philadelphia 76ers and what that means for that team, what it means for the league, and why now. We did see a tweet by Sham Sharania today. Yep, we're just going to quickly look at that and why it brings some concern. And the tweet by Shams was 76ers Joel Embiid is exploring options such as surgery for the knee injury. This is ESPN, so it is a valid. So he's exploring his options. We know Joel Embiid has had knee and foot issues his entire NBA career. Um, if he was, why are they exploring options now? And that's the big question a lot of people are going to ask. Um, I think probably the best time to be thinking about this was before the NBA deadline, the NBA trade deadline, which is the 6th. So they should have been thinking about this last month. But what? Why is there something that suddenly popped up? No, this is a continual issue. There's no a major setback. Um, we know since beginning of the year, when he declared that he's probably done with back to back soon, that this knee injury is going to follow him for the rest of the career until he hangs it up. Joel Embiid is going to have knee issues. So why are we talking about that now? Um, his numbers are horrible. This year, if you want to talk about Joel Embiid and where this year ranks, and let's look at those numbers. Let me reload this. Okay, so we see that he's had troubles. If we had the MVP rules, he would have probably, if he had this year's MVP rules, he would have been only eligible for NBA awards 2 years. Last year, he only did 39 games, and so far this year, 19 games. But there's a drop off. We see his lowest amount of minutes since 1920, field goal percentage. You see his lowest field goal percentage in his entire career. And we know he's had great last few years. He is one of the best shooters in the NBA. One of the best shooters in the NBA. 3 point percentage. His worst percentage in his entire career. And we see that he doesn't rely on athleticism. So this is a major issue. Um, he's getting to the line a lot less. He is playing less minutes and points. He is down 11 points per game this season. So we know it is affecting him. Um, this year it was supposed to be a NBA championship or bust. We see that the Philadelphia 76ers went out and got Paul George. They bent over backwards. Paul George was supposed to be the final piece. We know a lot of analysts, not me, but a lot of analysts say that they were one of the top two teams, one of the top two teams in the East, and that they were going to give Celtics a run for their money. That hasn't happened. Um, People were just thinking of three All Star caliber players are better than the um, two the Knicks supposedly had, perhaps maybe the Celtics two main players and high role players. But that hasn't come to fruition. Let's not forget Joel Embiid played um, the Olympics this summer. So he played for Team USA. So he kind of switched teams there. So if he played the Olympics, he was supposedly healthy. So if you know you have knee issues and you think this year is going to be an issue, you probably wouldn't play in the Olympics. So they had high hopes. They also signed him to a massive extension. So everything was looking up. Um, but it has fallen flat this entire season. Why would they be thinking now instead of um, before the February 6th deadline? Well, we'll look at that. So we see his season stats. Let's talk about after. Um, let's look at the last 5 games, which are all losses for the 76ers. Joel Embiid shot 50% in only one of those games. Um, he's one of the better rebounders in the game, but 3 of these games, 7, 3, 7. So it's obviously affecting his game. Also concerning things, we see that recently he's gotten a knee injection, and you really don't want a knee injection. Knee injections are is something if you absolutely hate, you have to. Um, these knee injections are they weaken your bones. So if you're taking a knee injection, you absolutely you absolutely need it. I guess he wanted to keep going, but just as a regular civilian, you don't want a knee injection over and over again because it weakens your bones over time. So if you're doing it, it's supposed to be for an important reason. Once I heard he did that during the season, I know the pain must have been bad. Um, so we see they lost 5 straight. Let's look at the standings. Okay, and then NBA standings, and let's look at the league. Okay, so when it comes to the worst records in the league, one, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, so the 76ers have the sixth worst record in the NBA, and that's kind of important for the next reason. The 76ers traded their first round pick for this year, and it is top six protected. Okay, so should they just, if as long as they're at six, they're fine? No, top six protected. But if you know how the NBA draft lottery works, is they take the top, they take all the lottery teams, they put them in order, but with their only pretty much the only thing that's actually they don't just throw them all in a bowl and whatever comes out 13, 12, 11. That's not how it works. They're only actually picking the top four. So out of 13 teams in that draft, they're going in the bowl and seeing who's the fourth, who's the third, who's the second, who's the first, and then the rest they just throw them in order by record. Um, so you can't guarantee that you're going to be in the top six unless you're number one or number two worst team. You're guaranteed to be in the top six. Um, they can't guarantee that. So even if they lose as many games as they can, they will not guarantee that they will be in that top six. At 20 games, they can get they have won 20 games. The fourth is Charlotte Hornets. So I think at worst, if they totally just absolutely go horrid the um last games of the season. They may get to like fourth worst, and even then, there is opportunity um, that they could still um, finish outside the top six and still give up a pick. I think right now they're picking between embarrassments. Um, the embarrassment of making the play in, getting kicked out of the play in. They easily can get kicked um, out of the play in. Just need one loss if you're one of the lower teams. Also, another embarrassment. They can still miss the playoffs trying their hardest. That would be embarrassing. Even worse is if they tank and it still is outside the top six. The only successful successful paths is tanking, keeping your pick, and getting a great player to keep or trade, or get into play in, win the play in, and win your first round opponent, which would be either the Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, out of those last two options, which is more likely? You're going to win basically two rounds, beat the Celtics or Cleveland, or you tank. You tank and get one of the top six picks. I think what's more likely is that they can tank and get those last top six picks. So I think that's why they are exploring it at this point. They lost 5 games. His numbers are down for the year. Also, I think there's probably a bigger picture. Let me just look at the comments real quick. Hey, Still Knicks fans. Hey, what's up? Um, yep, yep, salute to the chat. So out of those two, I think tanking is probably the best opportunity to them. Also, if he's having a knee issue, they are not specifying exactly what's wrong with his knee this time. So if he has to get surgery, might as well do now. Might as well do it now. He'll be ready for training camp or the summer. You don't want to go through the year. You had a disappointing season. You hit the summer, he gets surgery, and then he has to miss training camp, beginning of the season, perhaps even the midseason tournament. That's not something you want. You want to do it now, so you can get him ready for the summer. You know how to draft, but I think there's a bigger picture. I think if there is a time to trade him, it would be this summer. Um, it would probably have been better if they did not extend him. But if there is a time to trade him, it would be the summer. Who would want to trade for someone like that? Um, Not a lot of teams, I would say. But perhaps maybe a Golden State. Probably a team that is just on this last leg itself. That is also a NBA championship or bust team. Um, the length of his contract is ridiculous. The amount of money is ridiculous. I would not be surprised if they had to trade Joel Embiid and give up a pick. Um, you know, they're at the spot with Maxey, who's young. You may also have to trade Paul George. But if you tank now and get one of the top 6 picks, And if it goes really, really well, you get Cooper Flag or someone else. Those are two guys on your roster you can build around. Um, Paul George having the worst season since he was a young player. You probably could trade him this summer. Um, you may have to give up some assets, maybe not a first round pick. But Paul George is an asset that you could trade. You might not get the best players back. You may not get young upcoming players, but you can trade him. So I think there is more to exploring the options. I think on Embiid's side, he wants to probably get ready for next year, and whatever is ailing him is really ailing him. I don't think they're just making it up. I think it's time to be proactive. When all the outcomes, most of the outcomes are negative because it you're looking at playing the Celtics, you're playing Cleveland at best in the first round, and that's not a good option. I think it is worth worth the chance that you're going to embarrass yourself of falling out of the playoffs and losing your pick. Um, but the other option isn't really an option at all. That's all I had for talking about the 76ers. Um, they have really fallen off. This year is a really big. This is a really big down year for the 76ers coming in with what they did last year. Um, I don't see them getting out of the first round. Um, Playoffs is always the play in is always a one game or one game playoff is brutal and it can always go bad. So this isn't. I thank you guys for tuning in. This isn't the only live stream we're gonna have this week. I will be going live a few times this week, um, talking Knicks subjects, also talking about other teams. Um, Check out the socials. We have the Twitter address. Always hit me up. Please subscribe to the NBA Economy Show. We will be getting a lot regular. Life has been lifing, but we will get there. I also have the Cash App link if you want to send anything for the show. That would definitely be appreciated. But like and subscribe is plenty enough. All right. Um, Also, I do plan on talking about Mitchell Robinson and his imminent return to the Knicks. Um, I will be bringing that up soon. All right. And again, shout out to Still Knicks fans. Anyone who jumped in the chat. Thank you a lot. So that is all we have tonight. Um, we definitely will have new branding, so new logo, more things are coming. Please stay tuned and good night.